Hello, my friends, and welcome to a Conversation with Matthew. I'm Matthew Sanchez, and I am so glad. I'm so glad I can shout. I'm so glad that you chose this particular time out of your day to spend with me. Listen, my intention with every single episode that you hear on this podcast is always to plant a seed of inspiration in the hopes that it grows into your transformation. I'm all about self-development, and I'm all about encouraging people. So if you like what you've heard and you like the movement, share it. Because like Dr. Maya Angelou says, when you learn, you teach. When you get, you give. Thank you so much.
Brought to you by MSW Productions.
Hey, you guys. So I wanted to give you a little bit of information before you heard this episode, because this is just one of many episodes that you're going to hear, especially in the beginning stages of this podcast, because they're very important to me. Because when I thought about starting the podcast, first of all, it was God led. But when I was like at my desk, like planning what the first episodes would be, I wanted all of them to be interview style, but I wanted them to be intentional. So these first episodes you're going to hear in the next coming months are really me interviewing some of the most spiritual, intelligent leaders in my life. Like, these people are rock stars. I'm telling you, like, really, they're rock stars to me. And I go for, anything, big or small, I go to them for guidance because I really believe in community, that if you want to change your life, you need to change your community. So it's really, what I've done is I've interviewed them, but I've asked all of them the same questions, but I've gotten different answers from each and every one of them. And every single interview that I've done in the last 4 to 5 months, interviewing these intelligent people that I call them my spiritual teachers. They're like my kitchen cabinet of people. Every single interview, I have learned something. So I know you're going to learn something. And my intention is that that you get revelation, but it's also that if you hear something that you've learned, that you share it to other people. So I'm so excited for you to hear these upcoming episodes, and I cannot wait to hear what you have to say in the comments. God bless you, and until we meet again, see you. And your definition, what is love?
That is a great question. I think over this past year of my life, I have seen how love is a lot of different things. Through my serving at church, working with children, I've learned just how patient love is, and how sacrificial love can be also. I think also over this past year of my life, I've learned more than anything that love is a choice. And it's something that we can choose each day, just like we choose forgiveness, and that we choose kindness, and we choose joy. But I've really learned that we also have to choose to love sometimes, choose to love when we want to snap back and say something snarky, or
To somebody who says something rude or something like that. Yeah.
Right. And I've seen the benefits of that too. Choosing love in those moments.
Right.
It is not easy, because our flesh wants to so badly
Right.
hit them back with that good comeback.
Right.
But no, choosing, I think love overall that I have learned lately, I've really, really learned that love is a choice.
Right. Has it been hard for you to choose it?
In some moments, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What does it mean to be whole?
You know, I think being whole and what it means to be whole, the answer to that is something that we'll never find in this world. That the world will never give us. And when I think about that question, I think about myself and all the places where I don't feel whole, where I might feel broken or hurting or not good enough. And I know that there is nothing I can go to in this world that's going to fill that, truly. So I think for me, and with my relationship with the Lord and my deep belief in Him, I know that being whole is from God.
Yeah.
That we
yeah.
take those insecurities to Him, that we take that brokenness to Him, and He will heal and restore that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I've also felt moments throughout my 23 years of life
Right.
where I've felt more whole than others.
Right.
Because I have to also choose to take those things to Him. But I think that it's important for people to know that if you want to feel whole, if you want to feel completely restored and healed, it's a process. It's not like we can just say, God, you have healed me. You know, we have to choose to believe that and
Right.
choose to seek God in that.
Right. Right.
But I think it's a process, and
Yeah.
I think people need to be patient with themselves
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
that process.
Especially when circumstances as a person being single,
Yes.
right? Like learn how to be
Yes.
whole in your singleness before you can even think about being in a relationship.
Yeah.
It's so important. Tell me, how has that? Because you were single before you met Blake, who's a good friend of mine. I love him dearly. How was it? Were you whole when you were single?
I love this because
Okay.
I
Okay,
think
good.
I could
let's go into
on
it.
a
Come on,
whole
let's go into
talk.
it because
I could,
here's the thing, Carsen. A lot of young people need it. They need
Yeah.
it. They
Oh,
need
yeah.
it. Yeah.
Okay, so I really could. I'm very passionate about this.
Okay.
Let me think of how I want to say it.
Okay.
I think before I met Blake, I wouldn't say I was completely whole.
Right.
But I was completely content with seeking after God and
Right.
not worrying about seeking after a relationship
Right.
with a male.
Got it. Got it.
And, you know, I watched a lot of my friends who were so desperately wanting that relationship.
Right.
And I almost felt weird because I didn't feel that way. Yeah, you know, I didn't. I just didn't feel like that was something I had wanted at that time.
Yeah.
I've gone through stages where, you know, I was thinking that a relationship would be something that could make me whole, that could
Of course.
fill
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
But I know that that's not the case. And in this relationship now, I think what I've learned is that no matter how prepared you think you are for a relationship,
Yeah.
you aren't.
Yeah. Here's the thing, and a lot of young people miss this.
Yeah.
Anytime you have a new experience, whether it's a relationship, a friendship, maybe a new job, maybe it's a new position in your job, right? Anything that has not been healed will always rise to the surface in this new experience.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So the problem with young people, and you go there if you have to go there. You tell me your opinion.
Yeah.
The problem with young people, I don't think it's a problem. I think they just don't know. We don't know. We don't know better. So then we just do whatever fills the flesh, whatever feeds the flesh,
Yeah.
right? I think the issue is that we get into relationships thinking that it's the other person's entire responsibility to heal them. Now, don't get me wrong. I think it is somewhat of their responsibility to help you, but not to completely heal you.
Yeah, this is good. This is good because I think that if I would have not gotten into this relationship, that I don't know how I would have ever been able to uncover
Right.
the things that I'm not healed
Right,
from.
right.
Because you're so right. It does bring to the surface.
Right. Everything that does
Things that you haven't healed from,
Yeah.
your hurts.
Yeah.
And so what I think is important about that is that you have to be so careful with what relationships you are stepping into and who that other person is.
Yeah.
Because when you're in a relationship with the right person, with someone who is a man of God,
Yeah.
who is emotionally mature,
Who's
cares.
cultivating something, right?
Right, right. Who is not just in a relationship to be in one, who is intentionally pursuing you, intentionally seeking marriage with you. When those hurts and things that have not been healed come up, it is a safe space
Yeah.
for those to heal.
Yeah, and then so when the stuff comes up, when the unhealed stuff comes up in the new experience, then you ask yourself, okay, am I willing to stay in this relationship and help them heal, or am I willing to leave? And Carsen, sometimes if you feel like you're in a relationship and you can't stay, then don't, because you're going to do more harm staying, knowing that you can't do anything, or you can't give any kind of you can't offer comfort, you can't offer advice, you can't even offer prayer. Then leave. That's okay. You know what I mean?
Well, because I think it causes more trauma for that person.
Absolutely.
I think it does.
Absolutely.
And it's just truthfully, it's not a pretty process. It's
Right.
not always going to be pretty, because those feelings that come up, you don't even understand them yourself at first.
Right.
You didn't even realize that they were there. And
Right.
so you have to really step into this process of trying to figure those out, asking God,
Right.
to help you understand them.
Right.
And then your partner and you yourself are going to have to make choices that heal that
Right.
that trauma
Right.
or that hurt that's deep
Right.
inside.
And then let God do the rest.
Right,
Let God do
right.
the rest. But that's what the Bible still clearly states, that two is better than one. Like, I need you and you need me. Right.
Yes.
So obviously there are parts of me that I'm designed. I know we get into a whole conversation, Lord. but you see how we must be passionate about it.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying, that there are parts of me as a man that is designed to know how to heal you as a woman. You know what I mean? Like for women, there are parts of you all that God put in you that only you can do to help heal some of the stuff in us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then God, so I think we just need to learn how to say no, learn how to say yes. If you know you can't do it, then don't do it, because you'll do more harm. Okay, here we go. Big question. You ready?
Yeah.
Did you want to say something else?
I kind of did. I
Okay,
feel
come
like
on,
I
come
should.
on.
I feel like this could help somebody.
Come on, say it, Carsen.
Something that I realized kind of from my childhood.
Okay. Wow, I was going to ask you, that was going to be the next question. Go ahead.
Okay, well, here we go. I got an answer.
Okay.
So in my relationship, I had to realize that I think all my childhood growing up, I had been so independent. I lost my dad at a young age. And my mom, great mom, she truly was and is a great mom, but she had a job, she worked. And so there were lots of situations where I just had to do things for myself. And I think I became a very independent woman. And so then, as the independent person that I was, stepping into that relationship where a man is supposed to be your helper and do things for you and take care of you and carry your burdens, I had a lot of trouble allowing that to happen. Simple as it sounds, things like Blake opening the car door for me, Blake carrying my bags to and fro for me.
That's a big issue for some women, yeah.
Right. I was like, I can do it myself. I don't need your help. And I had to come to this point where I realized that I wasn't allowing him to play his God-given role in my life.
Wow.
That I wasn't allowing him to love me like Christ loved the church.
Wow.
And how a man is supposed to love his wife. And so I was really bribing him of that opportunity.
Yeah.
And when I realized that is what helped me
Wow.
to then let him do those things. Even if sometimes I have to wait, if he's lagging behind a little bit, I have to pause and take a breath and allow him to do those things for me.
Because he's designed to do
Right.
it. And listen, somebody may be saying, well, you guys are not married yet. That doesn't mean anything. The thing is, the goal is marriage.
Right.
Right? In any relationship, if you guys are following Jesus Christ,
Yeah.
the goal is always marriage. So, of course, you want to start the qualities now. You don't want to wait till you get married till he open the door for you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, okay, let's answer the question, because since we're talking about relationships, what do you think is the biggest problem for women today, and how do they heal that problem?
I think the biggest problem, which, we kind of touched on this earlier, but you can't be I think the problem is that we're searching for relationships, that we're looking for them, and that we're not taking enough time to seek ourself and our singleness
Yeah.
and seek God in that.
Yeah.
And I think that when you're searching and searching and searching, it's not always going to turn out good.
Yeah.
I think the biggest problem is that we have got to be happy with ourselves first.
Yeah.
And I believe that I was truly at a place where I was happy with myself, and I was so in love with seeking after God, and then God delivered me this gift.
Yeah.
And you know, that's my story. That might not be everybody's story. I know people meet through dating apps nowadays,
Yeah.
and I think
Oh,
that's
Lord.
great.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's so many ways that the Lord can
Yeah.
bring two people together.
Yeah. So how do you know? How do you know? Let's say a young lady is searching. She's not searching. She's just praying for a young man to come in her life and to eventually be her husband, right? How do you know, based on your experiences, how do you know what's for you and what's not for you? What's your husband and what's really just your friend?
Yeah.
Like, how do you know?
Let me think about that for a second. Truly.
It's a good question, and the reason why it's so thought provoking is because that's the big issue with just
Right,
young people
right.
and people in general. Like, how do I know this is God, and how do I know this is not God, right? So how do you know, based on what does God's voice sound like when He says yes, and what does it sound like when He says no?
To me, God's voice, when He's saying yes, there is nothing that can stop me from accepting that opportunity, from walking into whatever that is. It is so very clear.
Okay, got it.
And I think sometimes we miss the stop signs and the roadblocks because we might not want to believe that they're a stop sign or a roadblock. But God shows up in so many ways. It doesn't always have to be a big fireworks show to hear God's voice.
Yeah.
And so I think that we really have to be intentional in listening to and reflecting on those stop signs and roadblocks that He gives us.
Absolutely. And I would say to try to piggyback on what you're saying, because you just make me think of this.
Yeah.
Is that you got to seek God. So the reason why you're having problems identifying His voice is because you're not seeking Him as much as you should be. How can you look for something that you don't even spend time to know anything about?
Right.
You know what I mean?
And that makes me, because I've been there. I have done it before where I have ignored the stop signs that God has been.
Oh, Lord.
And I have ignored some big,
I'm
huge
telling
billboards.
you. I mean, like, the stop sign could be as big as a bus, and I'm ignoring it. I'm
Right.
telling you.
Right. And
Right.
so, but I know and I've seen that when you obey Him and when you just trust that Him stopping you and putting a halt on something is for your good, there is so much better on the other side of that.
Yeah.
And I've been there. It is so hard because you're saying, God, like, I think I'm hearing your voice, like, you're not wanting to believe it, but it is. It is Him, and He is telling you, this is not what I have for you.
Yeah.
If you will just listen and be patient, I have so much better that is going to come at the exact right season that I have planned for you.
Absolutely.
I just think back on how many relationships I tried to force.
Yeah.
And how I tried to mold these people into being men of God. Because having a man of God and being in relationship with somebody who wants to seek God first has always been a desire of my heart.
Wow.
But I think that I thought that I could change people, that I could get these people into church with me, these men that I used to be in relationships with, that I could change them and mold them into who my husband was. And that is just so far from the truth.
Yeah.
It truly is.
That's good. If you have to go into a relationship, making him go to church, all this and that, then maybe that's not the right time for you all to be in a relationship.
Right.
Not saying that he's not for you, because we know plenty of stories who the relationship started just like that. He wasn't going to church, she was going to church, and she was praying for him, and then he just magically came to church. You know that, because so God can work in that way.
Yes.
But just because if you have to make somebody be the person that you want them to be, then maybe it's not for you right now.
And I think I think we give ourselves too much credit that we think that we can even do that.
Yeah.
But what we can do in those situations is we can show them God and we can pray for them because
keep our
God
light
is the
on.
one
Yeah,
that
we
can
keep
do that.
shining our light. Yes.
God is the one
Yes.
that can turn them into
Yes.
a man
yes.
of God.
Absolutely.
Not us. Yeah.
And you just need to pray. Go into prayer.
Yeah. Yes.
Prayer can go where you can't go. That's what I always say. Prayer can go where you go. All right, next question. You ready?
Yes.
What is the difference between spirituality and religion?
So for me, it's tough because when I think about God, I don't know that I think about either of those two words because I think about relationship. I think about my friendship with him. I think about that he is my father, that I am his child. And so I think religion is a defined set of rules that people like to group into a box. And that is the broad term that we call, Christianity in this
Wow.
world today. But
Yeah.
it is so much more than that. And I wish so badly that people could know that it is a relationship. It is something.
That's more important.
I heard somebody say the other day, I'm so glad you asked this question, Matthew. I heard somebody say the other day something about the big man upstairs. I know he's working things for the good, the big man upstairs. And I thought, is that how you really think of him? Like he is just this big man upstairs? And I know we use that phrase, and I know people use that phrase, but I can't help but say that as soon as I got in my car after that interaction, I thought, I wish they knew him like I did.
Yeah. And how you know them like you know him is getting to know who he is. I think not only getting to know, you got to get around people who know him too. Community, people underestimate community. It's so important.
Yeah.
So important. Carsen, listen, I can talk all day with you. I'm telling you. But you're going to have to come back on.
I would love to.
You're going to have to come back on because I'm telling you, we can talk all day.
Yes,
do you hear me?
yes, I would love to.
But my prayer is that somebody young or our age in their 20s or maybe even somebody older heard something today that benefited them. So thank you so much, Carsen, for coming on.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome, Matthew. I loved it. I did.
I did too.